So, hello everyone. I'm Yorgos. You can call me George. I'm the host of the GenAI Summit Podcast. And today we are very honored to have Ioannis Antonoglou, if I pronounce it correctly, from Reflection AI. He's a co founder and CTO of Reflection AI. Ioannis, we are very happy to have you at the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the invite. And nice to meet you, George.
So we always start with a short intro about our speaker today, our guest, and Yanis is one of the very few people we have who have had such an impact on AI breakthroughs over the last decade. So Yanis was a founding engineer at DeepMind. You played a key role in what we call industry defining moments, from DeepQ network to AlphaGo to Gemini. And he recently left DeepMind with to pursue a vision, the Reflection AI vision. And you just announced a very big round, $130 million to build super intelligent autonomous systems. So that's my intro, but I think everyone is here to listen to you. So, Yanni, what is the problem you solve? What is Reflection AI? Why did you build it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you said, actually, I joined DeepMind back in 2012. DeepMind back then was a startup, and it's actually like the only place in the world where people were considering building AGI. I think it was one of the first places that actually coined the term AGI. So this is to say that my passion for building AGI goes back a long way. It's been more than 13 years now, and this is a passion that I share with my co-founder Misha. So we actually started Reflection with that in mind, but we actually had a really opinionated kind of view on what AGI means. To us, is a model coupled to a computer that can actually autonomously complete tasks. So you can actually delegate tasks to it. It will just go off and just solve the task, and then it will just return a result back to you. So this is kind of our definition of AGI. And then we just felt that the right way for a model to interact with a computer is via code. So it's via function calls, it's programmatically. So it's not the same way as us humans interact with computers, where we just use the mouse, we use the keyboard. So if that's the North Star, and we know that the form factor is coding, then we realize that the problem we should be solving today is that of autonomous coding agency. And what we mean by that is a system that you can actually ask it to complete a task, a software engineering task, and then it will just go off autonomously and just complete it for you. And this is what Reflection is building.
That's super clear. So the test bed is coding to our understanding, but the vision is way broader than that. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. So we think that coding is an enabling technology. It's the root node problem that if you actually solve that, this actually enables you to just build AGI.
Very clear. So the main users, the main beneficiaries of what you built at this first stage is who, and who can use what you built.
So we're actually in terms of our product. So another thing is that Reflection is kind of different to how these big AI labs have been traditionally, where they kind of mostly focus on research. We think that the only benchmarks that really matter in the real world are kind of benchmarks that measure the impact that these systems have in productivity, in day-to-day life, in people's lives. So that's why you kind of structure Reflection from the start to be a 50% product, 50% research company, and the product is it targets enterprises. So our main customer are other enterprises, companies that have big engineering teams, and they want to use coding agents to significantly improve the productivity of the team.
That's very clear. And we have so many companies following us for the GenAI Summit. We have about 1,000 executives who make decisions at the summit. Can you share a bit about how you are thinking of packaging the proposition that you just shared for enterprises, and what kind of enterprises, what kind of engineering teams are focused for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're kind of thinking for mid-size and larger size enterprises, companies that have like big engineering teams. And when you actually work in a company with a big engineering team, there are like many. First of all, there's like a really complicated code base that you have to work with. So understanding the code base is extremely important, and being able to contribute to this code base rather than just like building something from scratch. It's actually like what most of the current tools are doing, just like building something from scratch. So integrating with like a big code base is like one challenge. At the same time, just being able to contribute and offload some of the kind of work, the boring, repetitive work that like these engineers have to do while working in a big enterprise to these coding agents is like the other thing that you're trying to do. So currently, we are working with partners to integrate this system to their big code base and ensure that it provides both a way for like provides both an agent that kind of understands the big code base, and at the same time it can actually like automate some of the work that like engineers do today.
Makes sense. And hopefully we will have certain views of what you build by November, when we will have the all those executives seeking for new solutions as well. So I think this is a pretty good idea about what you do and what you are aiming for. The question that is kind of provocative and a bit strange to ask now that GenAI really changes everything every 2 or 3 months. But there is a question that we always make to our interviewees: how do you envision reflection AI in 5 years from now? Or we can shorten it to 2 years from now.
I mean, I feel like 2 years and 5 years are like two completely different timelines, because like the AI, the kind of like the time scales are like really compressed. Like the industry is like moving really, really fast. So what I think will be in 2 years from now is that we will have like integrated our system to a number of actual to a number of like enterprises out there, ensuring that like a lot of the kind of like boring, repetitive, or work, or like work that's not the most enjoyable, is actually like taken care of by agents. At the same time, these agents are there to increase the productivity of developers by first answering questions about the code base, and secondly helping them just like iterate much faster and just like building code much faster. So this is what I think will be in 2 years from now. And then in 5 years from now, I think that a big part of software development will be handled by these agents. And you can actually like think of the role that the developers will have in this world is that they will be coordinating. They will be like tech team leads who will have access to a number of like these coding agents, and they'll just like use them to just build big pieces of software. So it's actually literally adding another layer of abstraction in the coding development life cycle. So when software engineering started, it was all about like patching cards. Then we went to assembly, we went to C, C++, like this kind of like high level programming languages, but like still really close to the hardware. And now we're like Python, we have like access to all these other libraries. I think that like the next level of abstraction is going to be a human with an access to many coding agents that enables them to really kind of like build really complicated piece of software by just like coordinating these agents.
And how do you see that as compared to the existing IDs, the development environments, Cursor, Windsurf, you name it, or even like I don't know whether you even related to low or no code examples of like V0 and Lovable, for example. So how does reflection is going to play out in this landscape?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think that like first of all we have the first companies, and the first companies are like more what I think of co-pilots. So they just like help you. They yeah, they just like help you kind of do the most of the heavy lifting yourself, and they're just like
Mhm.
there to support you. On the other hand, you have like systems that build from the ground up, so like something that doesn't exist, it's there. It's like really useful for MVPs or like prototypes, but not really to kind of like do the software engineering work. And the way that reflection, I say reflection is like literally just like working with existing massive code bases where like people have to just like add code to them, and they actually automate the work. So you just like give them a task, and this agent will just like go and complete the task. So it's kind of like compared to the first kind of solutions, it's like more of an autonomous agentic product, and compared to the second one, it's like more kind of like working with the existing massive code bases that like are the more common ones in big enterprises.
It makes sense. Thank you so much for clarifying that. In the second part of this podcast, we always go back to the mission and your personal and team journey. We have thousands of students besides the company, the corporate decision makers who are a big audience of this podcast. We also have students, but also we have uh, aspiring founders and builders in that starts from their teenage years. And so we would like to ask a few questions about yourself and the experiences that led you and your team to co-found Reflection AI. But let's get to the early beginnings. Where did you grow up?
Yeah,
Where
I mean, I'm originally from Saloniki. I grew up in Saloniki. Um, I'm completely biased, but I think it's like the most beautiful city in Greece. And I did my undergrad there. I started University, Aristotle University of Saloniki at the engineering department. I did electrical and computer engineering there. And then when I graduated, I moved to Edinburgh in Scotland, and I did my master's degree in AI. And then I moved to London and joined DeepMind. So this is kind of like my background.
and that was straight from university to DeepMind. Is that correct? Or
No, I just went to Edinburgh, University of Edinburgh in Scotland, and I did my master's in AI and machine learning.
I see, I see. And can you share a bit about where you met? Where did you meet your co-founders and your co-founder? Actually, it's Misha, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. And how did you realize that you had to solve the problem that you are solving? What led you
Yeah.
to
That's
this?
a great question. So before I left DeepMind, I was leading RLHF for Gemini. So Gemini is like this big model that came out of Google. Kind of like when you want to build these big models, there are like three main phases. There's like the pre-training, there's the instruction following, and finally RLHF. I was leading the RLHF bit. And within RLHF, we had like an effort for reward models. So Misha was actually like leading the effort for reward models within RLHF. And this is how we kind of like, this is the first time we met, and we kind of like started working together, and we just like realized that we had a lot of like similar views on what we want to be building. Like we want to just like build these agents. We want to move away from like chatbots to systems that kind of like really take action and just like complete things, complete tasks end to end. We both had like a background in reinforcement learning, and this is kind of like what was we were like more passionate about. So just like decided that with it's time now to start an agent first company and just like really push hard on that frontier.
When was that? What year is that?
That was a year ago.
And but you first met way before, or when was that you started
Now
working
we
together?
met like I think a year and we met maybe 6 months before we decided to start Diffraction.
That's fast paced
Yeah.
to launch such a big vision project. And another thing that is super interesting when we talk about those small teams that build really big ventures, really big projects, is the hiring you do for your first hires. How many people are you right now, if I may ask?
Yeah, so there are like about a bit more than 30 right now.
And I'm guessing you're growing fast. Are there certain hiring tactics or certain things you are looking for at the moment? I mean, I understand that the technical requirements are super high, but besides those, do you have any behavioral attributes that you're looking for, and how
Yeah,
do you
absolutely.
test them?
So we kind of like, I'll just like start by saying that the first hires for us, and I guess like for most startups, are people in your network, people that you've actually worked with in the past, and they trust you and you trust them, and they want to just like join you in this journey. So this is kind of like what happened with us. Like the first hires were actually people from our network, people who had worked with before in kind of like different under different circumstances. Some of them were DeepMind with, some of them were like at the labs that we kind of like studied at, and so on and so forth. At the same time, when you actually hire for a startup, you need to just like look for people who they want to just be part of something from the start. They have like this kind of high risk, high reward appetite. Uh, they're doers. They want to just like come in and just like build things, take them from 0 to 1. So you're looking for like builders, right? People who can just like really operate well under uncertainty, because like there's a lot of uncertainty in a startup. No matter how you cut it, there's always like a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's important that like it's a really good cultural fit, because like everyone matters, and it takes one bad apple to just like ruin the culture for everyone.
Makes absolute sense. I can relate to that. And moving forward, actually, before moving forward, one last question on the inspirational side. Any role models that you have personally, and any such role models that are like high in the ranks of your team? Could be technical, could be outside the space.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'd say that there's like a number of people I really admire. I'd say, you know, David Silver, who was my mentor and professor and manager at DeepMind. I have like a lot of respect for him. I saw him leading the AlphaGo and AlphaZero projects, and kind of like really delivering on them, and kind of like really keeping everyone focused and really inspired throughout the whole journey. Also, I have a lot of respect for Demis Hassabis, who started DeepMind. He started that back in 2010 in the midst of a financial crisis in London, and the idea was to build AGI, and he managed to pull this one off. So, yeah, it takes once in a generation kind of like genius to just do that, and I think that that's Demis Hassabis.
That's excellent. Demis Hassabis is very well known to the Greek uh, public because I don't know exactly, but supposedly he's of Greek or Cypriot origin, and I think surprisingly enough, we have many people that have Demis Hassabis as a role model, even if they don't know him. Like you guys were a bit closer to him in the early days of DeepMind.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, I know him.
excellent.
I know him personally.
Let's get a bit more tactical here. Again, continuing from what have been discussing about building a team, is it that you first build your an early prototype, or you have a technology in place and then you find a team, or vice versa? How do you see this equilibrium, and how did it work for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think like you need to come in with an idea of what you want to build, have a plan on how you want to build it. Um, it's kind of like there's this saying that plans are indispensable, but like planning is indispensable, but like plans are useless. Uh, kind of like to say that you should be planning, but at the end of the day, plans will just like go to waste many times. So kind of bringing in the right people and building the best team is extremely important. I think it's like the most important thing for any founder for like any new company. So you should definitely know what you're building. You should have like an idea of how you want to approach it, and then at that point, you need to just like bring the people in and start building with them. Because yeah, this is the, I'd say, in the early days of a company, like the people are the most important asset.
Totally, totally. And speaking of planning, how do you prioritize product project decisions? Since you, I mean, correct me if I'm mistaken, since you do not have a typical off the shelf product at the moment, it's very hard to prioritize. And the question is, what are the big product decisions now? And I mean, if you can share any, there's a lot of proprietary things right now. We are sure, but how do you build a product roadmap, and how do you engage your people into that?
I think that like it starts with understanding the customer pain points. So I mean, especially for us, we work with enterprises. So it's really you have like an idea of like what you're building, but it's really important to really just like also talk to people. Kind of like we started talking to customers from really, I think like the really early days of reflection. I think like after in the second month is like when we took the first customer call.
Nice,
Just like we didn't have anything at that point. We just like want to understand what the pain points are for the customers, and we've been engaging with customers ever since. So I'd
nice.
say that talking to customers, understanding what the pain points are, and then just like building a plan around those is the way that you should be doing it.
That's really tactical here, and I think this is something that many of us founders are missing. How often you get your customers involved, but the other question is, how much do you listen to your customers in terms of not the needs, but what they are, how they are perceiving what is useful for them? Because customers many times get into much detail about what they want, but they might derail you from the main plan that you are building. So how do you find this balance, and how do you set expectations right for your customers?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, this is actually true. You'll just talk to your customers. They're like really in the weeds with like the problem they're trying to solve, and they might kind of like pull you the wrong direction. So it is important to just like come in and you just like listen to their concerns, and then try to synthesize across like many different customers. Try to just like see, okay, what's the common ground between like the problem that this guy is having and the problem that like the other person is having. So it's important to just come in, really kind of like listen to them, understand their problem, try to think of like, okay, this is the problem. What would a potential solution to that problem be? And then just like talk to the next customer and to the customer after that, and then just try and synthesize and say, okay, like I kind of like put together in my mind a couple of solutions. Like what's the common ground between all three of them, or four of them, five of them, right? And then just like take this abstraction and say, okay, this is what I should be solving. This is the problem I should be solving. And then it's important to just come in these calls like informed, right? Like you know what are the problems that like other similar people have actually faced in the past. It's just like come in and say, based on what you've told me, maybe this is the problem that you want to to be solving. And in many cases, they'll be like, yes, you're right.
If I may ask, who is? I mean, do you have certain roles for that? Primarily, I guess it's you, the founders, who do that in the very beginning. But is it a product manager that would do that eventually? How do you see yourselves building, these capabilities of having a continuous stream of feedback from your customers, and integrating, selecting what is worth to pursue?
I
Who
think,
is the role that does that?
I think like for the foreseeable future, it should be founder led. I
Yeah.
mean, at least in the future, you want to just the messaging is much clearer. Like when you actually like really scale the company, there's a product. People know exactly what the product is. They will just like reach out to you. You just like go through kind of traditional ways of advertising it and marketing it. So it's like completely different. But like for the early days, you have to just champion and evangelize your product. You have to just like go be in these calls, understand what the customers need, and just like kind of really iterate with them.
Hmm. Nice. Makes lots of sense, and thank you so much for sharing such tactical things. Um, Another question is that actually we had a few people that when I told them that we will be speaking today for the podcast, the first thing they know about you, and this is kind of superficial, but this is it is that you raised $130 million, which is quite a big amount. So the question here is, you know, what's in your view draws VCs to you? Since first of all, building foundational models is a difficult bet, and there are other companies in the broader space. What is the differentiator? Which you mentioned a few things in the beginning, but I would like to see here the answer for our friends who asked the question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like as I've said, people are the most important asset of a young company, and kind of like it's the same for us. So we've actually assembled a world-class research team. Have some, I'd say that like this is actually the best research team at a startup at the moment. Outside of like the big labs like Anthropic or OpenAI or DeepMind, but like at the early stage startup, we actually have like the best people, and investors know that, and they know that we have like between us we have like a track record of actually delivering breakthroughs. So this is kind of like the main differentiator in terms of like research. In terms of product, we have like a lot of clarity on like what we want to build, and we're taking a depth first approach. So you might have actually like noticed that like many of the big labs like Anthropic, OpenAI, they just like they're taking many different bets all at once. They have like the API business, they have the chatbots, they have the desktops, they have like a bunch of different offerings, right? Um, we want to just like we actually took a different bet. We said that we want to build like the best model for coding, and this is kind of like the vertical we're after, and we just like see that as the the main unlock for like going to other areas in the future. But like having this kind of like focused first bet and a world class team is what gave them the confidence to invest in us.
That makes sense, and actually, it's very encouraging for founders who build great teams. I think that's the time to build. Speaking of talent, because you focused a lot on the talent before you spoke about the product, we we were reading this interview from this CEO of DeepSeek, Liang Wenfeng, who was saying what we lack in innovation is certainly not capital, but rather confidence and the ability to effectively organize high density talent to drive meaningful innovation. So it looks like on the high density talent, this is what you do. Um, Now that we have this, we call them deep moments from teams that are smaller and that don't have all the budget that the big labs are spending. Going back to Greece and Southeast Europe, where we come from, what do you think about this? Is how can we take advantage of these moments and learn from them so that we build such networks in countries like Greece or elsewhere in Europe? You are in London as well, is that right? Do you intend to build any teams in Greece as well?
So yeah, I mean, currently Reflection has three main locations. So New York, I'm currently in New York, where the headquarters are. I have a team in San Francisco, and we have a team in London. So this is kind of like the three hubs, and we're kind of like investing in all three of them equally. Um, the plans, the plan is to just kind of like just stay in these three hubs and not expand anywhere else for the foreseeable future. Um, so kind of like going back to the question about capital in Greece and DeepSeek, the DeepSeek moment. First of all, DeepSeek, what they managed to do is it's really admirable. They kind of like the DeepSeek model is like really powerful. They've done that on a budget, on a tight budget. At the same time, they had like a big team of people, like researchers. They had like lots of H100s. They did a lot of experimentation. They did a lot of iteration. So it's not like it's not a David versus Goliath kind of story. But I'd say that China does have the capital and does have the talent, and it's a big market. So it's like the US. Europe is like quite different in the sense that even though there's like a lot of talent, like I'd say that like Europe, across all European countries, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of fragmentation, which is like why there isn't like as much capital, and it's much harder to actually like raise the money for like an AI company, right? Because like no one no one just like invests this way in Europe. And once you've actually like built something, it's much harder to distribute it and just like really go to scale because of how fragmented the continent is.
Okay.
So I think we have like some European problems that we need to solve before just like start competing against like the US or like the China ecosystem.
Definitely. No, this is true. And you also, I mean, your focus is in the US. I mean, you are not building per se for a certain geography, but your resources, either human or capital, come from the US, to my understanding. So another question that I have here is that are you on site? Do you expect all your team to be on site in the different locations? Do you have any remote employees? How
Yeah,
does this work for you? And are you an office person yourself?
yeah. I mean, I actually come to the office like five days a week, sometimes 6 or 7, but like at least 5 days a week. So we have like an in-person culture. Uh, we kind of like have offices in all 3 locations to ensure that like people can just like go in the office and just like work closely together. And I think this is actually like really important for like a smaller company that like needs to move fast and needs to have like it needs to not have any friction in terms of communication. So especially when you do research, like having people just like working closely together is like really important and helps you just like move faster. So this is why we kind of like from the start we decided to make reflection an in-person kind of company culture, and yeah, this is kind of like the plan going forward. Um, at the same time, there are certain roles that can happen remotely, and we do have a couple of like really senior people who work remotely, but they just come in the office like every couple of weeks.
Since we have many strong candidates in our audience, you have open positions right now. The people interested can find it on your website.
Yes,
Are,
exactly.
how can we be of any help? Meaning that we have an audience of about 20K people that are Gen AI obsessed. What's a few things that you would like to share, or how can we be useful? Yeah, this question.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We're just like looking for talent. As I've said, we actually have like a London office, and we are hiring for Europe. We also have like some people in Paris. So it is possibility that like if there's like more talent there, we might actually open an office in the future. Um,
Yeah.
at the same time, you know, we're looking for people who they're builders. They're like really kind of, as you said, obsessed with like these new technologies. They want to just like come in and yeah, be part of something that goes from 0 to 1. Like we think of ourselves as like an early frontier lab that has like a lot of potential for growth, but at the same time it requires a lot of work to be done. And yeah, we're looking for incredible people just like join us.
That's amazing. We'll spread the word for sure. And let's get to a few last questions here. So we have the summit in November. That's like 7 months ahead from now. What do you think are going to be the emerging trends or technologies that we should keep an eye for? Uh, and yeah, what are we expecting to see that is going to be different from now in 7 months? And what is going to be different in the summit of 2026? What do you see? And here is a predictions space, so feel free to say anything that you are thinking of lately. It
Yeah,
doesn't need to
absolutely.
be proved in the future.
So I think that for the foreseeable future, we'll be thinking about agents, because agents can start from something that like it's a co-pilot, which is kind of like what we have currently, and it
Mhm.
extends all the way to something that runs in the background for like days or months, and just like really automates a whole uh, set of tasks just forever. So I think that like we should be thinking in terms of agents as like the extent to which they can just like act autonomously. Like, what is the time duration for which they can just like act autonomously without requiring any human supervision or like feedback.
Okay.
And at the end of this road, there's like AGI. There's like something that can really automate work that like currently is handled by humans completely autonomously and completely unsupervised. So, but this will just like take time to get there.
Mhm.
So I believe that um, agents will dominate the conversation this year, and the year after, and the year after. But like every generation of agents will be like significantly more powerful than the previous one.
And does that apply to a lot of other spaces other than coding? Do you see that
Everywhere.
many? Mhm. Okay, yeah, that's clear. Um, and two more questions about that are not related to reflection, but I want we want to have a one piece of advice that you'd like to share with GenAI builders, either these are founders or employees within their companies, until we meet them at the summit. What would you advise them right now with what we know about what is going on? Exactly as you said, we moved from conversational AI to reasoning now to agents. How do you how would you advise them that they should navigate into that ever evolving space?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'd say that people should expect that like these systems will become like more and more powerful, and they'll just like be able to handle work more and more reliably. This is kind of like the trend. This is what we're building. This is what other companies are also like building. But kind of like I've actually spoken with a few people in more traditional industries in the past year. That when we start since we started like reflection, and I think that like having the technology and being able to integrate it with like more traditional industries are like two different things. So kind of like really bringing the benefits of AI to a lot of like these industries is going to be a massive economic unlock. So I think that people kind of working on this space, they will have like a lot of opportunities. This is time of opportunities for builders to just come in and really use these models to add value in uh, traditional industries that have been uninterrupted up until now.
That's great. And what's one question you would like us to ask our next guest? What would you?
Who is your next guest?
So we have Dr. Kartakis from Google, who is one of the co-authors of the latest paper for agentic AI. And we also have Spiro Xanthos from Resolve AI, who is a builder himself in a way smaller company. You can pick any.
Uh, yeah. So what's the question of the ask them? I'd actually just like also ask them, the question you asked me, like, where do they see, like, actually, I'd be interested to know like what they think are the main kind of like problems that we should be focusing on to just build agents.
I will ask that, and that has been great. Yanni, really thank you for that. A lot of people are looking for this podcast. They want to hear from you and what drives reflection. So it's been wonderful and super insightful and tactical as well. So thank you so much. And of course, we're expecting you at the summit in November if you have time.
Yeah, absolutely, George, and thank you for having me.